What is the most paranormal or unexplainable event you have witnessed? I was in my laundry room and I heard someone come up behind me and I swear they whispered. I screamed so loud and thought it was my husband playing a prank on me. When I turned around no one was there and it was so freaky. Also, when I was a teenager I was sitting in my room at my computer desk and piece of paper and pen went up in the air and slammed back down. I ran downstairs to tell my mom and I was crying hysterically. My mom thinks just hallucinated it. After my dad passed away, my stepmom kept asking me if I found the book he was reading in his last month or months. She didn't know the title. We looked all over the house for it. Eventually found it with a stack of magazines. Definitely not where it belonged in the house. My stepmom recognized it immediately when found. The title of the book was Hello from Heaven. I also received a phone call 2 days after he passed away. The phone call was from his phone number. For some reason I was too scared to answer. Asked the only person who had the phone, stepmom, if she had called from it. She said she left it in the garage where he always worked. This was 14 years ago. I still regret not answering the phone. Regret? A call from a dead person? No thanks, I'll pass. I got a call from myself once, but I rejected the call. I figured if I were calling myself from the future, I would know better and text. If you get a call from yourself, it is most likely a spoof number, so don't answer it. I work in a prison. Before my job in the jail changed, I used to have about 1.5 hours of downtime before it was time to punch out. My sergeant at the time asked if I would cover the 11 PM count on one of the blocks. He didn't care what I did before or after, just do the count. No prob. I'm sitting at our Times Square area. One hallway leads to 4 blocks and another hallway leads to the other 4. I'm sitting in front of one of those hallways. I hear someone walking towards me from behind. But I realize I don't hear keys. We all have keys, except inmates. I turn around. No one there. I think, okay, maybe I just imagined it. Guy sitting in the area with me asks who it was. I guess I didn't imagine it. Alright, then 11 PM comes. I go to the block. No one is letting me in. WTF. I go back to the Times Square area to call and let the officer know not to panic. I'm coming. I just can't get in. As I'm on the phone, I feel someone behind me and they lean into my ear and whisper forcefully, "What are you doing?" I wave my hand back to signal to them to stop. I hang up and turn to yell at who it was. No one is there. No one is in any hallway. I'm all alone. I'll bring out this story again. It happened to me 7 years ago and I can't figure it out, but I lost an hour of time in what felt to me like minutes. At the time I was working from home after a serious illness diagnosis. I had settled into a routine. Up at 7 AM and do house stuff and shower, then at 8 AM start prepping my work and laying out my day. Phone calls and emails from 8 to 9. This is all I remember. It was 7:55 and I brewed a cup of Keurig coffee on my kitchen located on the main floor of my house. I went upstairs to my office and turned on my computer to settle in and realized I forgot the coffee in the kitchen. I went back downstairs and got the coffee. As soon as I realized I forgot it, couldn't have been more than the time it took Windows to boot up, but I took a sip and the coffee was cold. Not warm, but actually cold. I thought my Keurig was broke, but I looked at the clock and it said 9:14. So whereas I expected it to be 8:05 maximum, somehow an hour and 10 minutes passed without explanation. It was very bothersome. I have no idea where that hour went. I have never had any blackout before or since. No seizures, and the meds I was on shouldn't have caused a lapse like that. I don't think I fell asleep because I distinctly remember typing my password and saying out loud, "Shit, I forgot the coffee." It kinda left me uneasy a bit. Nothing like had ever happened to me before or since. I have one. It must have been some kind of hallucination, but it really scared me. I was sitting in my bed watching YouTube for a couple hours. I got up and reached forward to set something on my nightstand or whatever. I had this strange undescribable feeling that I hadn't actually moved from where I was sitting at all. I quickly turned around and looked at where I was sitting seconds before, and there I was, still sitting there. I was outside my body. I could see the shocked, horrified expression come to my face at such a strange sight. I quickly sat back down right in the same spot and nothing strange happened again. Whispers, he's a phantom. When I was 13, I woke up in the middle of the night to a strange man's voice. I couldn't understand what he was saying because he was talking really fast, but at one point I heard it say my brother's name, and then it started laughing maniacally. My dad heard it too and came running into my room and turned the lights on. No one was there. Absolutely no explanation. Another time, I woke up in the middle of the night and I heard what sounded like a cult gathering right outside my window. It was like 3 AM and I could just very clearly hear a group of people singing/chanting while a baby wailed. After about 10 to 20 minutes, it suddenly stopped. I used to live in a town that was pretty strange altogether, but the house was even more so. Most of my elder family that grew up there had also had weird experiences. I remember one time I got up to use the toilet. The bathroom was next door, which was across the way from my bedroom, and I shit you not, a woman in a full vintage nurse's outfit came running out of the bathroom with a washcloth and into my bedroom. I have no idea if there used to be a poorly person accommodating it years ago, but the house was very old. That is the good side of it though. There's a lot more. You'd even sit there sometimes and have this awful feeling of a bad presence. As if somebody was staring at you, eyes burning into your soul kind of feeling. You know? Freaky stuff. About 5 years ago my husband and I went to visit his grandma. Big, beautiful 2-story house. I was going to head upstairs to put some pajamas on and saw a woman walk across the top of the stairs. It was only my husband, young daughter and his grandma in the house, and whoever I saw wasn't Granny. I went in the living room and told them what I saw, and his grandma goes, "Yeah, that's Lori. She visits a lot." Lori was my husband's mom who had died when he was 11. I was so fucking spooked after that I barely slept the rest of the time we were there. On the day my father died I was alone in the apartment we lived in. While everyone was out mourning at my uncle's, I stayed home because I didn't want people to stare at me sobbing. Anyways, I'm in the living room and I hear footsteps in my mother's room that has a balcony. I straight up hear the balcony door open, so now I'm like sobbing and shouting asking who's there. I go check it out and there's no one there except a strong smell of tobacco in the room. My father used to smoke on the balcony. Never told anyone about it and just kept it for myself. Later learned my mother got blamed for my dad's death, even though they loved each other since they were teens, and my dad was simply a victim of cancer and a massive brawl broke out. So I just thought of it as my dad coming home because he couldn't be bothered to hear people arguing. Lechuza. Described to me as a witch/owl demon. The legend I heard when I was little was that if you were outside late at night and whistled 3 times, Lechuza would come and snatch you. When I was around 20, I shared this story with my friend one night and we kinda joked around about it along with sharing other paranormal stories. Eventually I have to grab something from my car outside. It was a beautiful clear night, very quiet, and we were kinda out in the country. While I'm searching the trunk, my friend lets out a whistle while standing next to his front door. He was laughing, knowing it creeped me out, and let out another whistle. I was a little pissed that he was screwing with me and tried to hurry up because I was also a little creeped out. Then he let out a third whistle. At the exact second his whistle stopped I heard this loud terrifying screech right above my head. It sounded exactly like an Aztec death whistle. Look it up on YouTube. I was immediately startled and looked to my friend. I thought he made the noise to fuck with me, but his face was looking back at mine in terror. When I saw his face I knew it him and booked it into his house. When we got inside we kept repeating what the fuck? Lol, I figured it was just an owl that mistook the whistle for a squeaking rodent, but it really freaked me out considering it followed the legend I heard with the 3 whistles. 1. I witnessed a spinning 2D square, lit up like a disco floor, hovering about 30 feet off the ground. As I walked towards it, it began to move away from me at an increasing velocity. As it turned away from me, I saw it has no depth. Then it vanished at a high velocity into the horizon. I was 9 or 10 at the time too. My alarm had just gone off, and I laid in bed, somewhat still asleep. I felt the blankets at the foot of the bed lift and flap up and down. I looked down and saw nothing there. I went to work shortly after. I get a call 2 hours later from my girlfriend who, in a panic, described the exact same thing happening to her.